Fortnite Chapter 6 Season 4 Shock and Awesome has come to a close with the Welcome Our Alien Overlords mini-event, where the identity of Chapter 6's main antagonist, the Dark Presence, has finally been revealed. Last season, Daigo, known as the Mask Maker, returned from the spirit realm possessed by the Dark Presence. He brought with himself a stronger demon army, his new lieutenant mercenary corps, and enormous spire monoliths, which he utilized to drain the island of its energy. To respond to the threat of the Mask Maker, with Midas's sponsorship and Superman's help, Hope and Jones founded Supernova Academy to train a team of skilled superheroes known as the Supernovas. However, things began to go sideways when Mask Maker Daigo orchestrated a surprise attack on Supernova Academy, forcing the team to evacuate and scatter. Since the Academy fell, the Supernova's morale was at an all-time low, but Morgan missed to realize that it was her duty as a leader to bring the team back together to prevent the Mask Maker from completing his ritual. Fortunately, her efforts were a success, and with Superman's help, the Supernovas confronted Mask Maker Daigo in the Super Showdown live event. In the event, Mask Maker Daigo summoned a tentacle of a large monster from within the spirit realm, but after doing so, the creature immediately smacked him out of the way. Daigo had served his purpose to the Dark Presence. Now the main threat was the tentacle. Fortunately, with the combined strength of the Supernovas and the assistance of Superman, the tentacles retreated back into the spirit realm, and the spires on the island were destroyed, closing the portal at Demon's Domain for good. Following the event, the tentacle that Superman split in half began to decay. Its blood oozed out in the surrounding area, which began to both mutate bugs and allow the Onimorphs to begin their invasion of the island. Bringing us to the start of this season, the Onimorphs swiftly overran the island, and the once dormant bug-terminating faction known as OXR re-emerged to deal with the invasive threat. We've got a bit to cover, so sit back, relax, and let's dive into the story of Fortnite Shock and Awesome. Let's begin with an explanation of who and what OXR is. OXR, which stands for Onimorph Extermination Rangers, is the new military faction that was introduced to us this season. Led by the current general, Onyx Winter, the faction had been around for multiple generations and was founded centuries ago when the bugs first invaded Oninoshima. OXR's main members consist of Onyx Winter, Lieutenant Rip Slade, Agent Patch, Yumi, May, and technically Dr. Theodore Flysby. Onyx Winter is the fierce and fearless general of OXR. She's a highly skilled soldier in the battlefield, but that pales in comparison to her tactical prowess, which is why she leads OXR. Onyx explained that OXR's assets remained hidden for generations, waiting for the bugs, collectively known as the Swarm, to re-emerge. When they eventually did at the start of this season, OXR's preparations paid off, and they were able to quickly establish their bases around the island to combat the Onimorphs. Her duty has always been to those who came before and will come after her, to rid Oninoshima of the bugs for good. Lieutenant Rip Slade is both the lieutenant and one of the faces of OXR. He's an extremely patriotic and skilled soldier, and as some of you may have noticed, he seems to be the character Battlehawk from the Chapter 1 Season 4 Battle Pass, although we've yet to receive confirmation about that. Nevertheless, the lieutenant is very motivational, hence why he's one of the faces of OXR. His motivational words helped recruit soldiers to fight against the bugs. In his Ask About Types of Bug dialogue, he explains to us the different types of Onimorphs. The little bugs are known as swarmers. They're weak when separated, but overwhelming when together. The medium-sized bugs are known as bombers, who attack with their projectiles. And lastly, the biggest bugs are known as the queens. They're both the scariest and most powerful of all the Onimorphs. Slade didn't mention them, but there's also roly-polies. They're harmless, silly little bugs who are likely baby bug queens. Agent Patch is a stoic, anthropomorphic panda agent of OXR. He's very serious and loves to chew on his bamboo. Overall, he likes to keep to himself, but just like Onyx Winter and Rip Slade, he has a burning passion to exterminate the bugs. Yumi is an idol on and off the battlefield. Her father taught her how to be a marksman and served in OXR while the faction was dormant. He retired before the bugs returned, and that's when Yumi's music career really took off. After gaining so much popularity, Yumi was deeply grateful, but she felt confined as just an idol. Therefore, she joined OXR to prove that she's more than just an idol, but a real person who loves Oninoshima and wants to defend the island. Due to Yumi's fame and media training, she was asked by General Winter to be the main main face of OXR, to which Yumi gladly agreed, believing it would help the world get to see a whole new side of her. Mei, who many of you may remember from Chapter 4 Season 4 Last Resort, returned this season as a new member of OXR. Once a member of the heist crew who robbed Cottlethorne's time machine for Dr. Sloan, Mei is now a weapons engineer for OXR. According to Mei, OXR paid her a ridiculous amount of bars to develop weapons for them, but it's a big adjustment for her to be working for a good cause since she spent most of her whole career running with criminals. Lastly is Dr. Theodore Flysby, an anthropomorphic fly. Flysby is a scientific expert in parasitic infestations, and he arrived in Reality 783 to gather data on the Onimorphs before they would inevitably destroy Oninoshima, according to him. To get a better understanding of the bugs, he decided to collaborate with OXR for the time being in a mutually beneficial relationship. They provided him equipment and information they knew about the bugs, and in return he gave them more information about the Onimorphs. According to his studies, the Onimorphs are ravenous spirit realm-born creatures with a rather pungent odor to them that are capable of devouring an entire reality. We also received a couple OXR voice lines this season. If you tuned into the Party Royale radio station early on in the season, you could hear voice lines from Onyx Winter, Lieutenant Ripslade, and Agent Patch. Take a listen.
Infestation's worse than we thought. Stay low and lock in.
It's about to get grisly.
Oh, get ready to bust some bugs.
You want it, Dan Torch-shells? Come and get it!
Now that you're familiar with OXR and its members, let's move on to this season's dialogue. For those of you wondering what happened with the Supernovas, they're still around, and we know that thanks to the Morgan, Mist, and Killswitch NPCs this season. According to Morgan, the Supernovas were still fighting for Oninoshima as a team, and she hoped that they could continue to make a difference by helping protect the island. I'm sure some of you are also curious about what had happened with the Fox Clan and the River Guard since season 1. If you visited the Mizuki NPC, she explained that the River Guard were helping OXR in defending the island from the bugs. You were also able to ask her about the Fox Clan's whereabouts. In her dialogue, she revealed that the Fox Clan had predictably gone back into hiding and scattered across the Omniverse. This was likely due to the chaos that Daigo caused with the magical masks, which the Fox Clan were deeply concerned about at the beginning of the chapter. According to Mizuki, the Shattering War cost everyone something, and for the Fox Clan, that was their bravery. But she was glad this was the case because that at least meant that her brother, Stray, would be safe. Anyways, unfortunately, the worst thing ever happened this season. Hope and Kendo broke up. Kendo's dialogue especially broke my heart so much because he said he knew his friendship with Hope had an expiration date, but he told her to just not forget him when she leaves. Even though this is unbelievably devastating news for us Cope fans, as the name of the ship entails, we will keep coping and hoping that maybe they'll end up getting back together someday. Speaking of Kendo, after reuniting with his older brother Daigo, Kendo decided that he would finally seize his destiny. He held no grudge against his elder brother, and he only wished the best for him. Once Daigo was freed, Kendo had decided that he no longer wanted to wait for fate. He sought to carve his own path. To mark this new change in his life, Kendo cut his hair and sported some new Ronin gear, and by doing so, he has finally let loose, now living his life a little wilder, rougher, and freer. Daigo has changed a lot this season. The traumatic experience of being possessed by the dark presence, which was caused by his own arrogance, has made him finally realize the foolishness of his old ways. If you asked Daigo about the dark presence, he said that he was extremely arrogant, and that arrogance nearly cost him everything. Daigo revealed that when he confronted the dark presence, it immediately reshaped Daigo into his plaything, and referred to Daigo as his champion. Daigo admitted he was a fool, but he'd learned his lesson and he won't let the dark presence take him again. Overall, Daigo was very embarrassed about the mistake he'd made, but he was committed to making up for it by joining OXR in the fight against the Swarm. As for Jade, she didn't get too much dialogue this season, but she was proud of Kendo for being the only one of the 3 spirit siblings to resist the spirit realm. Before Daigo was freed from the control of the dark presence, Jade said that being caught in the middle of Daigo and Kendo used to be pretty tense. The two used to be very different and disconnected, but the events of last season had changed them both, and now all the siblings are united together in defending the island. Daigo, Jade, and the Night Rose all had dialogue about the spirit realm as well, where they collectively revealed that the dark presence was actively trying to shatter the thin veil that separated the spirit realm and Oninoshima. Last but not least, Hope and Jones could be found at Supernova Academy, where they were studying a small piece of the severed tentacle to figure out how they can infiltrate the spirit realm. When you asked Hope about what's coming, she said that she'd been painting the future, but couldn't really make out what she was painting. All she knew was that the vibes were bad, and she was really concerned about the fact that she couldn't see properly into the future this time. Time was ticking, and Hope and Jones needed to figure out how to reliably get into the spirit realm before it was too late. Tying into the storyline quest for this season. Part 1, Welcome to the Infestation, started with us squashing some bugs to impress Onyx Winter, and it's safe to say that she was more than impressed with our skills. After displaying our skills on the battlefield, Winter asked us to speak with her. When we did so, the general introduced herself to us and explained that she was leading OXR in their valiant fight against the Swarm. Winter offered us an opportunity to join OXR, and we took it, so she officially welcomed us into the faction. With that being said, our first task was to defend an OXR base and take out some bugs to help with defending the island. When we completed our task, we went to catch up with Hope and Jones. Hope immediately addressed the elephant in the room, that being the slice of the giant tentacle, and told us to try and ignore its terrible smell. She explained to us that the Swarm and the tentacle are able to access the island without using a spirit portal, so we went to locate the Swarm's access point. Upon locating it, we saw a vibrant indigo portal with the galactic interior. However, after interacting with the portal, it suddenly shrank and turned to a crimson red color. Although it looked creepy, our analysis was helpful according to Jones. Part 2, Excellent Observations, began with Hope informing us that the Swarm had been spawning at an alarming rate, and she believed the island would soon be overrun. Therefore, we were immediately tasked with destroying Swarmer nests to thin out the Swarm. The solution was temporary, but it helped. Then, by breaking open hive stashes, we found huge traces of the Swarm's demonic energy signatures. Hope theorized that the Swarm was likely building their nests close to their access points to the spirit realm. So accordingly, we tuned sensors near the hive to pinpoint the highest concentration of demonic energy in the area. By doing so, we discovered that weird readings were coming from the Onimorph's eggs. We collected these tainted eggs and brought them to Hope, to which she explained that these eggs were actually queen eggs laid in the spirit realm and brought to the island. She believed that the energy signature of the eggs could be used to weaken the Swarm's access point to the island and possibly held the key to accessing the spirit realm without a portal. As the war against the bugs continued to rage on, the Onimorphs were starting to overrun OXR's forces and take over more locations such as Utopia City. The island of Oninoshima needed more help, so we began to draw the attention of the Power Rangers to the island. One by one, the iconic heroes arrived in Oninoshima to join the fight. Once all the Power Rangers and their Zords were present, the team was finally able to form the Dino Megazord and turn the tide of the war in OXR's favor. However, the Power Rangers had to first deal with an enormous bug queen controlled by one of their rivals, Rita Repulsa. Fortunately, Megazord prevailed. Rita Repulsa's Bug Queen was swiftly defeated, leaving the rest of the remaining Bug Queens vulnerable and no match for the power of the Dino Megazord. Megazord struck down the final queen at the hive, driving the Swarm back into the spirit realm and leaving OXR victorious. Or so we thought. After the supposed victory against the Onimorphs, the island was seemingly peaceful once more, and its inhabitants began to rebuild what was destroyed. But this was just a calm before the storm, and everyone on the island seemed to know it. When you visited General Onyx Winter and asked her about Hope and Jones, she explained that with the Swarm gone, she finally got the time to go over Hope's findings. Until the Dark Presence was defeated, the Swarm's return remained a possibility. Therefore, the general assigned OXR assets to Hope and Jones's command and helped out however she could to assist in taking down the Dark Presence. Winter claimed that OXR's greatest success would be their own abolition, and she hoped to see it happen someday. You were also able to ask Lieutenant Rip Slade about the disappearance of the Swarm, to which he responded with, "The Swarm may be gone, but I've been fighting long enough to know a calm before the storm when I'm in one." His line right after that though is very important because Slade says that blue-haired kid and her dad are right, which is referring to Hope and Jones. This line of dialogue was official confirmation from the writers that Jones and Hope have a father-daughter relationship as alluded to for the past 2 years. Dr. Theodore Fliesby said that the Onimorphs were well on their way to devouring Reality 783, hence why he was so shocked to learn that they were now gone. Then he realized that the true reason for their retreat was not because of defeat, but rather to make way for something further up the food chain that was coming to the island. Upon visiting the Night Rose and asking her about the spirit realm, she said that she had serious doubts that the team was ready to face what awaits in the spirit realm, but she had said that perhaps they'd find themselves with the unlikeliest upper hand, which could very well be a teaser for the Seven's return in the Chapter 6 finale. The final set of story quests, Part 3 Prepare to Fight, had to speak to the Night Rose, Jade, and Daigo about the Splinter Blades. The Night Rose was having difficulty accepting Hope and Jones's plan to infiltrate the spirit realm, mainly because of the trauma she experienced from being under bondage there, but she realized that it was their only option at that point, and she had to come to terms with it. Daigo knew we came for the Splinter Blades and explained that he used to think he would be the one to use them to defeat the Dark Presence. Now he knows that wasn't his fate. He handed over the blades and told us to do what he couldn't, strike down the demonic incursion once and for all. Jade worried that fighting the Dark Presence with the Splinter Blade is going to feel like attacking a great turtle with a toothpick, but she suggests that perhaps luck will be on their side as every creature typically has some sort of soft underbelly. Once we'd spoken with those three, Hope had us rally troops and gather weapons from all over the island. They needed ground support, intel, and all of the above. After completing that task, we weakened the Swarm's access point to the island and then informed Hope that everything was ready for the siege on the Spirit Realm, concluding the story quests for this season. A week before the end of season mini-event, a small and unusual cell-shaded sapling emerged in the top left corner of the island. Over the course of just a couple of days, the sapling grew into a treehouse. But it wasn't just any treehouse, it was Bart Simpson's treehouse. Within the treehouse was a TV that flickered through various stills from the Simpsons TV show, except for one. This still was our first look at the Dark Presence before the event. 4 ominous rose-colored glowing eyes that were surrounded by a thick dark fog. Although we don't know just yet what caused the treehouse to emerge on the island, the aliens from The Simpsons, Kang and Kodos, also arrived on the island observing what was happening. Just days before the event, zero-point energy surrounded the treehouse and began to slowly open a portal to the spirit realm, leading us into the mini-event at the end of the season. Welcome, Our Alien Overlords. The energy from Bart Simpson's treehouse was continuously becoming more and more unstable, and because of the weakened veil between the realms, a portal tore open to the spirit realm. Within the portal, a tentacle of the Dark Presence could be seen peering through. By modifying his portal device, Jones believed he could completely close the portal and stop the instability of the treehouse. However, there was a possibility things would get a lot worse instead, and that's exactly what happened. Jones's meddling with the treehouse's unstable energy prematurely opened an enormous portal to the spirit realm, allowing the Dark Presence to finally cross over onto the island. Their entire plan to infiltrate the spirit realm had fallen apart. With the portal open, the skies immediately turned dark, the moon became blood red, lightning began flashing, and multiple tears appeared in the sky. As the Dark Presence roared, you could actually spot the severed tentacle that Superman split in half in the Super Showdown live event. The Dark Presence began its invasion of the island, and suddenly Kang and Kodos appeared. The two aliens fell in love with the Dark Presence, who they referred to as the Great Demon. They wanted to marry the Dark Presence. I'm just not gonna go any further than that. To prove their love and loyalty to the creature, Kang and Kodos attacked Hope and Jones and abducted them, only for things to go sideways from there. While Jones distracted Kang and Kodos, Hope piloted the UFO, using it to attack the Dark Presence until it grabbed the spacecraft. Using its power, the monster opened up a portal, and then Jones realized the Zero Shard was embedded into the chest of the Dark Presence. Jones ordered Hope to quickly use the tractor beam to take the shard back from the creature, but before they could do so, the Dark Presence tossed them into the portal, and they only succeeded in retrieving a small fragment of the Zero Shard. Hope, Jones, Kang, and Kodos were all stuck in a wormhole between realities, which we've recently seen in the Remix the Finale event. Kodos then announced that he would safely bring them all to Springfield and told everyone to stand back, as recalibration is a very difficult task. But Hope protested. Hope and Jones needed to return to Oninoshiba immediately to deal with the Dark Presence. So Kodos and Hope were fighting over the recalibration. As a result of the rapid back and forth recalibration between the two realities, a new reality merging both features of those realities was created: Springfield Island. To clarify, Reality 783 still exists. Springfield is just its own pocket reality. While the group was processing what had just happened, they didn't notice the incoming battle bus, which crashed straight into the UFO and caused a fragment of the Zero Shard to fall into the home of Homer Simpson. Now Homer is utilizing the fragment of the Zero Shard to turn Springfield into a paradise, whilst trying to simultaneously avoid Hope and Jones, who are actively trying to take back the fragment from him and return to reality 783. And that wraps it up for the entire Chapter 6 Season 4 storyline explained. The Simpsons mini-season is now out, and as always, I'll be covering the storyline for it, so make sure to keep an eye out for that video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, Lore Keepers.